Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing the controversial parenting tag. I had to make sure that's what the name of it is. I have it, the questions and stuff here on my phone, so if you keep seeing me look down, that's what I'm looking at. But I thought I would just do this because I think it's interesting to hear different choices that people make and their opinions on things and that type of stuff. Typically, I have no problem being a controversial person. However, I don't feel I'm super controversial because I would consider myself pretty open-minded, and I don't know, I'm opinionated, but I'm not opinionated to the point that I feel like I would hurt other people's feelings. I can be very reasonable as well. So, you know, we'll kind of see how this goes. I don't know. I feel like my choices aren't super controversial when I look at the list, but we'll have to kind of see. I do want to preface this with saying I am not in any judgment of anybody else. If your choices do not agree with what my choices are, that's totally fine. Doesn't mean we couldn't be friends. I have plenty of friends that don't agree with everything I do and vice versa, or my feelings on things. So in no way, shape, or form am I trying to offend anyone. I just want to put that out there. However, I feel like I think I have some pretty good things to say about this type of stuff. So let's get started. Topic number 1, pro-life versus pro-choice. And in this situation, they're talking about abortions, whether you would be pro-life or pro-choice. Now, I don't want to have to tiptoe around this. I am a labor and delivery nurse. I do work at a hospital that is pro-life. We do not perform abortions of any kind in our hospital. And the one time that I had a situation where the baby was terminal and would not survive past birth and had the chances of dying in the womb, she technically aborted. The hospital gave me, my manager gave me the option whether I wanted to take care of her or not, knowing that she would be ending the pregnancy by choosing to deliver earlier than the baby was ready to deliver. Even though the baby was not going to live either way, she was choosing to deliver versus carrying the baby to full term. My manager gave me the option of taking care of her. Now, in an instance like that, I am pro-choice, and in general I am pro-choice. However, I don't necessarily feel like what I would do and what another woman would do in the same situation would be a pro-choice type of situation. And I'm trying to talk about this delicately. Like, I am pro-life. For myself, I would not terminate a pregnancy no matter the cause. There would be very, very select few instances that I would even consider termination. Like if it were in the case of assault, that's pretty much the only rape. That's really, I don't even know that I would consider it then. So for myself, I am pro-life. For women in general as a whole, I am pro-choice. I feel like it is your decision to say whether you want to be pregnant or not, because I deliver babies for a living and I see very many neglected babies. We got Emmy out of a neglected home. So, you know, in that instance, I'd say adopt. Like, put your baby up for adoption if you don't want to keep the baby, but that's a lot for some women as well. So again, I say pro-choice. You do you, girlfriend. Whatever is right for you and your body and your family, every woman should have the right to choose. For myself, I would be pro-life. Okay, next topic, baby wearing. Go for it. I don't see anything wrong with baby wearing. Now, there are some safety concerns from a lot of people, whether it be suffocation, dropping the baby, not handling the baby, posture, just different things like that. My thought is, as long as you're using the baby wearing mechanism that you have properly, there should be no reason why you're worried about posture or suffocation. And if you're any type of good parent, you would make sure your baby is not suffered in your bosom or, you know, smashed in your bosom. You would obviously make sure that their nose is exposed and they could breathe. So that being said, I am all for baby wearing. I did it with Maddie. I'm doing it with Autumn. Go for it. Next topic is circumcision. I have all girls, so that's not something that I have to necessarily worry about. But in general, as a medical professional, I am for circumcision. There are plenty of people that think taking off the foreskin is either religiously wrong or just in general wrong. I have dealt with uncircumcised penises medically before, and they are definitely a lot harder to keep clean, and they're a lot harder to just maintain. It takes a little bit more effort, and if there's not an influential person in that little boy's life or a male's life that figures out how to take care of it, it can cause serious infections and just different things. It can house a lot of bacteria if you're not carefully cleaning it and taking care of it. And you know, an older gentleman, and an elderly man even then could have serious complications from just the cleanliness of it. So I'm all for circumcision. I definitely would consider it pretty highly. We would, as a married couple, if we had a son, and that's all I really can say about that. Next is adoption. And if you guys know me, you've been watching me and following me for a while, you follow my daily vlogs, our oldest daughter Emily is adopted. Obviously I'm for adoption. Now, depending on how you come about that adoption, I think is a little more controversial. You know, whether you get a child from the foster system, which is how we got Emmy. We fostered her and then we adopted her about 1.5 years after we started fostering her. So you know, you could either look at it from that perspective, or you can adopt from within the United States or from international. You know, I think that's the controversial part of it. Adopting is an amazing thing. I commend anyone that has done it. People commend us all the time, even though I don't necessarily think you need to be commended for it. I think it is a wonderful thing to take a child, especially one that has no chance of being raised in any type of good environment. I think it's a wonderful thing to incorporate them into your family, and I'm all for it. Like I said, I would adopt more and more and more if I had unlimited funds. Baby piercing is the next topic. That is also a controversial one. There's so many people out there that are like, how could you do that to your baby? I think that's wrong. Why would you pierce their ears? Blah, blah, blah. And then there's some that's like, oh, my daughters have to have their ears pierced. Emmy had her ears pierced when she was a baby, and she doesn't regret it one bit. She loves earrings. Maddie, we pierced her ears when she was about 2 months, and she loves having her earrings again. So it's not one of those things that she's grown up and she's thinking, oh, I hate, like, do you regret having your ears pierced, Mama?
What's that mean?
It means, like, are you sad that your ears are pierced?
No.
Do you like your ears being pierced? Do you remember getting them pierced? No. She said yes, she likes them. No, she doesn't. So you like having your ears pierced?
What's pierced mean again?
Yeah, like that. You have earrings.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. See? So again, she's a child. I have numerous holes in my ears, but my mom just got my first hole pierced when I was a baby, a few months old. I don't remember the pain, and I'm so glad she did it. I love my ears being pierced. I think it's a true sign of femininity, and that may be completely controversial to say because there's plenty of extremely feminine women that do not have their ears pierced. I just feel like it's nice, makes you feel good, you know, it's to accessorize. It's definitely not necessary. I've seen plenty of comments on some of these parenting tags that are, you know, you shouldn't put a hole in the body that God didn't give you, and so on and so forth, and that's all fine and dandy. And again, I don't look at a baby girl and think, oh, poor thing, she doesn't have her ears pierced. And I don't look at a baby girl and think, oh, poor thing, she's got her ears pierced. So we plan on getting Autumn's ears pierced probably in the next week or two. She'll scream. Is it unnecessary? Yes, it is unnecessary, but it is a parent's choice to be able to make that, and I have not met one little girl, not in my circle of friends, that has regretted getting her ears pierced. Breast milk versus formula. This, I don't feel like should be controversial. However, I've experienced this firsthand. Some women have trouble breastfeeding. I do think breast milk is best because I work in an industry and I work with moms who I promote breastfeeding. However, I personally have struggled with breastfeeding twice now, a lot, and it does bring a lot of heartache and sadness to the mom when she's not able to perform and breastfeed like she wanted to. So I don't necessarily think that it's fair to completely knock a mom for formula feeding. However, I do have a strong opinion on women who are able to breastfeed, who produce milk and they just don't. They don't want to, they don't have that bond with the baby, they don't want to waste the time or the energy, they don't want to be up all night, they don't want to be bothered. I do have a problem with that because I myself as a woman who wanted so badly to solely breastfeed both of my children, both of my young girls, I was not able to. I only was able to pump and breastfeed for a little while. You know, with Autumn it lasted 9 weeks, with Maddie it was 4 weeks. So I do have a problem with women that just don't want to do it. I think that that's messed up. Why give your baby formula if you absolutely have to? Then on the other spectrum, I've met numerous amounts of moms and kids that solely breastfed their baby, and their baby is not any smarter than my baby. They're not any less sick than my baby, you know, things like that. So again, this is kind of a controversial topic in the sense that I personally feel like breast milk is best. However your baby gets fed is the best thing, and I've learned that very, very much throughout this 2 processes of breastfeeding unsuccessfully. So yeah. Spanking. I am a believer in spanking to an extent. Beating your children is a whole nother thing. I won't even touch on that because that is a whole nother topic. For those people that think when you spank your child you're beating them, I don't agree with that. I don't think a spanking on the bottom is beating your child. And maybe that's just me. I was raised where my mom slapped our butts quite often. We never got beat with a belt or anything like that. I got pops in the mouth because I was a very smart aleck teenager. Got pops in the mouth quite often. So I'm not necessarily for or against spanking. I think there's a time and a place to spank your child. I am much more for timeout, talking it through, removing from the situation, consequences to your punishments, not coming home and having a bad day at school and you get your butt beat for it. But I do think there are some instances where a good spanking on the butt is not going to hurt anybody. Now, do I spank our children? Not very often, you know. I mean, Emmy, not really. Maddie is a little bit more temperamental than Emmy ever was at her age. Emmy now gets consequences. If she has a bad day or she talks back, she loses a privilege. We're starting to get in that like grounding set of her life. Maddie is a little more like, get over here, what did I tell you type of thing. We do a lot of raising of the voice, and I'm definitely not the type of person that can sit there and be like, now Maddie, we had a bad day today, what are you going to do about it? I'm not perfect, I can't do that. I'm certainly not that person. I do raise my voice, I do get after them a lot, I snap my fingers. My children know that I'm a tough parent, and Andres is a lot more lenient than I am. I'm a tough parent, they know what I expect, and when I don't get what I expect, there are consequences to that. Spanking is typically not a consequence, but I'm not against it either. I may look at you a little weird if you're beating your child in Walmart though, so maybe don't do that, but there's definitely a time and place. Co-sleeping. I do not believe in co-sleeping. I have seen too many accidents. Again, I'm an RN, I work in the hospital. I've heard and seen too many accidents of moms and dads accidentally rolling over their babies, knocking their babies off the bed, suffocating them, breaking bones. It's just awful. Awful, awful, awful. Like when after you deliver a baby, when you're in mother baby postpartum at the hospital that I work in, they do not let you sleep with the baby. They will report you if the baby is in your bed at all while you're in the hospital. So I guess that has really like instilled in my brain, don't sleep with your baby, don't sleep with your baby. But just as a person, I've never slept with any of my babies. Now I have let them sleep in the bed with me when they're little while I'm awake. So I'll let them lay in the bed next to me and I'm awake watching videos or whatever, but I don't physically throughout the night sleep with them in the bed. I also do not have one of those things that tuck in your mattress and let them sleep by you. None of that. They sleep in their pack and plays, we sleep on our beds, we get up whenever they need something. I just would never, oh my gosh, I would never forgive myself if I knew I did something to my baby that was so easily preventable. So No to co-sleeping. Home versus public versus private versus charter schooling. Ugh, this is another tough one. I was in public school my entire life. I never had, and I did go to like a specialized magnet high school, but it was still within the public school district. I know several people that homeschool their children as well. Here's my thought on it. I think public education is great nowadays. I think that several things have changed. I think a reason why somebody would pull their child from that is either for religious reasons or bullying, things like that. The two people that I know that homeschool their children pulled their children out of public school because other children were bullying them, were making fun of them for I have no idea what reason, because they're both young. So I really don't know. I really don't know how someone could bully them so bad that it would make them pull them out. But regardless, those were their reasons for bullying, and they just didn't like the way that things ran and whatnot. I would never homeschool. I don't feel like, for one, I have the patience to homeschool, and for two, I feel like I would be doing a disservice to my children, giving them the opportunity to interact with other children, to allow them to learn and to grow and to be with other people, to learn how to act like a person. That's my opinion. Again, my opinion only. That is what works for our family. I would not be able to have the patience to homeschool them. I am for public school, and I feel like charter schools are kind of the same idea. Like, they do have a curriculum, they have something that they go by. Private schools, we wouldn't do it simply because it costs a lot of money, and to me, I feel like it's kind of a waste. Your child in private school, most private schools, now let me be clear, because my best friend has her daughter in private school, and I would never sit here and say anything bad about her daughter or anything like that. That's her choice. She grew up in private school. She wants her child in private school. I don't necessarily think that, and it could be because I grew up in public school, I'm biased. I don't necessarily feel like a private school, curriculum-wise, offers any more than a public school does. Now, that being said, activity-wise, a private school in general has a lot more camaraderie. And I know that because, again, my best friend Bia, you guys know her, she has her daughter in private school. And when I met Bia in high school, she went to a private high school. And I just feel like as a whole, you grew up with these kids, you maintain like the same friends throughout all the years. They have a lot more activities. They do a lot more like school sports in younger grades and school activities, and I just feel like as a whole the parents and the students get to know each other a lot more. And if you're going to do it based on a religious aspect, there are amazing Catholic schools out there and Christian schools and stuff like that, that if that's an important enough foundation for you to pay the money per month, then that's a great place to send them. Again, curriculum wise, which is if you're sending your child to school every day for the curriculum that they're learning, I don't feel like the curriculum is any different. I excelled in school. I would consider myself just as smart as somebody who went to private school, if not smarter, or, vice versa. So I don't think that being in private school education wise helps versus public school. But if you're looking for that religious background or the camaraderie of just your classmates and things, I think private school is the way to go. I wish we could afford to put all our children in private school. Unfortunately, that's just not something that we could afford. It would be like another mortgage payment every single month because we have 3 children, which costs you an arm and a leg. Okay, vaccinations. Definitely. Again, medical professional, I would not encourage anyone to not vaccinate your child. I realize there are statistics out there that vaccinations cause this, that, and the other. I would not want to chance it at all for my child to get polio or some random disease that was excised years and years ago because of vaccinations. Again, my opinion, I would not necessarily want your child in my child's classroom if they are not vaccinated. That is why public school systems, for instance, you have to be vaccinated to attend them. At least here in Texas, San Antonio, you have to be vaccinated. And that brings me comfort knowing that, when the girls go to school, they're not going to get some random disease because all the children are vaccinated. They may get a cold or something like that, but not a random disease. So I am definitely for vaccinations. Medicating children. Now this is a tough topic because my brother has ADHD, not so much anymore as an adult. Like, he's kind of grown out of it. He's learned to cope. He hasn't taken medication as half his life. I mean, he stopped taking it in middle school. But he grew up with ADHD, very severe ADHD, and he could not focus. He could not learn. He was held back in the 1st grade, and he's proud to say that, you know, this is what I had. This is how far I've come to get past that. So it's not an embarrassing thing for him anymore to talk about or anything like that. He's come to terms with it, and, you know, he's grown and learned from it. But seeing him and seeing how medication has changed his life for the better, just in general over the years, you know, as an adult, he still struggles time to time from making impulse decisions and just talking a lot, pretty much. He does suffer from that. But other than that, he has an amazing job. He has an amazing son, and just he's done really well for himself over the years. And seeing from where he came from, I don't feel like medicating your child is so bad. Again, that being said, if one of my girls, if the doctor said, hey, you know, Emmy has ADD or ADHD, or Maddie has ADD, it would be really difficult for me to say it's okay to medicate them, because that was really hard for me to see in my brother as well. He was like a completely different person when he was medicated. So it would be really hard for me to make that decision. And I think medication in the right form would if it's going to be beneficial, then it is okay. If it's just like a quick, oh, she has ADHD, she needs medication, and just to zombie them out and stuff like that, I don't think that that's necessary. There are other ways to cope with it. However, if that problem is there, it's always going to be underlyingly there. And I know that from first-hand experience, because my mom tried to cope with my brother for several years before he needed help. He physically needed help. Like, he wasn't going to be able to do it by himself, not at such a young age. As he became older and more mature, he learned how to deal with it a little bit better, but at a young age, I just feel like he would have never made it without the medication. So in a case like that, it's necessary. If it's something a little more mild, I think medicating a child is a little overboard, and you could learn different ways to cope. Cloth versus disposable diapers. I never had a desire to use cloth diapers. I felt like, even though it'll save the environment, Mother Earth forgive me, I did not save the environment one bit. With Maddie, with Emmy was only in diapers for like 3 months when we first got her, but with Emmy, with Maddie, or with Autumn, I unfortunately use disposable diapers with all of them, and that will be how it continues. I don't have the time nor the patience to cloth diaper, unfortunately. I wish I did though. And the CIO method is cry it out method. I had to look it up, to be honest, because I didn't know what CIO meant. I know what the cry it out method means. Now, being that I've had 3 children, well, you know, I've had 2. Autumn's my 3rd child, including Emmy. I never really had to make Emmy cry it out because she was 19 months when we got her. So she never really had to cry anything out. I mean, she came, unfortunately, extremely grateful for anything because she came from nothing. She was mistreated, malnourished. I mean, she never had to cry anything out because we just gave to her as much as she wanted. Maddie, when she was a baby, and when I say baby, I mean like under 1, that type of baby, not like toddler years. There was very few times that I honestly let her cry it out, just because I was a new mom to a newborn, and I couldn't stand to hear her cry. As she got older, I let her cry it out all the time. When she transitioned to her crib, to her own room, I did let her cry it out a little bit. She was young, she was like 3 or 4 months, but I let her cry it out a little bit so she could transition. Once she transitioned, we didn't really have any issues until she started, you know, throwing tantrums. She would throw herself on the floor, I would let her cry it out. Now, I was never and I still am not with Autumn, the type of parent that is, like with Autumn, for instance. Now, let me give you a good example. We put her down for bed. She likes to be held. I spoil her. I hold her all day long. If she's my last baby, I want her, she's my baby. I want her to be spoiled. So I hold her a lot throughout the day. But when it's time for me to put her down, it's time for me to put her down. And I will let her cry it out, but only to an extent. If she starts getting to the point where she is like, you know, she can't breathe, or she has like real tears streaming down her eyes, or she starts coughing and choking, or stops breathing because she's crying so hard, I don't care. I will pick her up. We're not crying anything out. She needs to come with me. When it's time for bed, she has a bedtime most nights. We put her to bed. She hates to be swaddled. She doesn't really like her arms to be, you know, kind of constricted or anything. I'll let her cry for a little bit. But again, if she gets too hysterical, it's not happening. I'll hold her the whole night if I have to. So my method of crying it out is like little cries. If you're just kind of whining or crying just a little bit but not hysterical, I'll let you do it. But if you're hysterical, I can't do that. It gives me anxiety. I can't listen to it. Andres makes fun of me all the time because he's like, you're spoiling them, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I, as a mother, am just not wired to listen to my child hysterically cry. So I don't know. Am I for or against that? I have no idea. A little crying's okay, not a lot though. So I know that was a long talking video. I apologize for that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys feel about some of these things. I don't, like I said, feel like I'm too controversial of a person. I feel like I'm pretty open to other people's opinions and whatnot. Unless it's just pure bashing other people and their opinions, I really could care less what you do, as long as I get to do what I feel like is right and you don't judge me for it. That's kind of my thought on it. So I'm curious to know like how you guys feel about some of these topics. Not necessarily that you should bash me if you don't agree with me, but maybe just tell me your standpoint, why you feel like that, and maybe we can have just a friendly discussion. You know, it's one of those things, again, if you're not for something and I am, great. If you're for it and I'm not, great. I could still be your friend and have no issue. Just a matter of whether you think you could be mine. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!